Hello, I'm Luke Hatfield and joined by Lewis Cox. We're here for another season review video. We're here in the safe standing section of the Montgomery Waters Meadow. Yeah, great view.
Be good to have fans back.
Certainly will be. We're here today to talk midfielders. Shrewsbury Town, of course, midfield. A lot of players, some who are leaving, some who are staying.
Yeah.
A club legend who is departing as well.
Not as busy as yesterday's vid.
No,
I would say they didn't. I mean, we've jotted down names, and there aren't as many today, thankfully. Although we did miss a name yesterday.
Yeah, Marlon Fossey.
Yeah, apologies to Marlon. Played about 10 games at right back start of the season. Kid coming from Fulham, did okay, but yeah, I mean, just another example of the many right backs. We were bound to miss one.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, let us off. Yeah, midfield happily.
Yeah, we'll start with Dave because I mean he is a legend of the club.
Yep.
Obviously, had a great career, and he's departing this summer. And whether or not he carries on playing is a question. Probably looking at part-time football now.
Yeah.
But I mean, he had a big role to play this season, albeit it wasn't playing week in, week out.
It was in the balance, wasn't it? Whether, I mean, he was one of 12, 13 out of contract, and he was one. It was really hard to call. You know, I think we sort of made our mind up on most of them. But Dave is a strange one because winter time, he as good as said he was going to retire, didn't he?
Yeah.
He said, you know, he's accepted it. He can't his body can't handle it. It got to about March, April. He'd been really quite effective from the bench as a late sub. He was offering value in games, helping see games out, and he sort of, I don't say U-turned, but he said,
reconsidered.
Yeah, he opened the door to staying on, didn't he? He said, in this role, I feel like I have value. I would agree. I think there was, you know, obviously, I don't think it's, I don't think I'm going out of my way to say he was, you know, he was a big earner at the club. So, you know, for that to happen, he would have had to have cut his money, which I'm sure would have happened. But, you know, for another year with fans, obviously the manager's taken sentiment out of it, and it would have been, you know, it's really hard for Dave not to finish with a crowd here. Really, really sad. Obviously, he'll be here as a fan watching on. But yeah, I think he could have added value with the way he is, professionalism, personality, behind the scenes, training ground, changing room, last 10-15 minutes in games, you know, starting where he has to, the odd game through injuries or whatever. I think he added value, but I also understand Cottrell's decision of clean slate, fresh start, you know.
Yeah.
I think Dave said it's a shame he didn't meet Steve Cottrell 5-10 years earlier, because they would have done very well together, I think, the type of player Dave is. But yeah, he was involved, played a lot of games.
Yeah.
You know, few starts really, only one since Christmas, I think, under Cottrell, albeit Cottrell was away, obviously ill. That was ironically at Blackpool, where Town secured their mathematically secured their status with that win at Blackpool. So yeah, did very well that day. You know, showed that he can. I think he played 90 minutes or most of the game. Yeah, 90 minutes. So he could clearly cope, and I think that made him, you know, feel he could carry on. But yeah, a shame. But one of several, you know, a dozen or more big decisions the manager had to make. Obviously, did make here at the Meadow, and most of which have left, including some more midfielders we'll get onto.
Yeah, someone else who really impressed me, Josh Vela. I thought he was fantastic. We've stuck him in the midfielders here. That's his main role, really, isn't it? As you were saying off air before. I mean, real bright player. Looks like he can make something happen, and deserved award winner.
Yeah. His first full season as a Town player. For him personally, couldn't have gone much better, I don't think. He would say score more goals, I think fans would say as well, which he does need to do. Not the main facet of his game, but he does need to do. He's proved he can do it before. But most appearances, most league starts, fans player of the season, players player of the season, just, I think tells you everything you need to know, really, doesn't it? I think, interestingly, as I say, it was his first full season, so he signed the January before COVID, so only really had a couple of months. I think actually in the last game before the lockdown, he got a red card in the Oxford game here, and obviously the fans didn't really get to see what he was about. You know, he was adjusting, having come from Scotland, where it didn't work out for him. But this season, slow start for him, as it was for everyone under Ricketts. Nobody really played well, very few. I mean, make a case for a couple. Brad Walker, Ryan Barnett played well, but yeah, it's a slow start. Had a real low. Town got battered 5-1 at Peterborough. He got sent off. Obviously, a lot of fans held that against him, really, because it was costly. I think it was 1-1 at the time, maybe. It was very close, stroke of half time. Obviously, Town fell apart. It was costly, but Steve Cottrell came in shortly after that, and Vela was electric under Cottrell, really, with the manager in the dugout and with him ill, obviously. I think I remember around Christmas time, Cottrell noted to us in the press that he thought Vela had lost weight, which I thought was an interesting thing to say. I didn't necessarily see that myself, but he clearly saw that Vela's fitness levels on the pitch, which are, I would say, his main strength.
Yeah.
His energy levels are relentless, really. In my seasons covering the club, I can't remember too many, if any others, who could run like him. Maybe Ben Godfrey.
Yeah.
But his energy levels are ridiculous, and I think he shone with Norben in the middle. They became a good partnership. They're close friends, obviously, and whether he was used in that middle role as it's usually a midfield three for Town, sort of two central eights, you could call them, central midfielders, and one slightly more advanced. But his role as one of those two deeper ones, really good. Got a bit of everything about him. Can use the ball well, but energy, as we mentioned, can tackle. Goes up for a duel or into a tackle. He very rarely comes off second best, to be honest, and 95 minutes he'll be the one still pressing, running the channels. It's easy to see why Cottrell was a big fan, why Aaron Wilbraham was a big fan. They were teammates at Bolton, actually, him and Wilbraham. Wilbraham called him the Duracell Bunny. I think when fans are back and get to see him, I think they'll really take to him, because above all, fans love a trier, don't they? Someone who won't stop running, and if you're running all day, the fans will take to you and love you, and I think he will do that, and I think he'll become a big favourite and hopefully add more goals. I'd like to see him in the 10, as you said to me just now. You saw a lot of him in that role, and he scored 10 goals for Bolton in that role. I think it really suits him, just that I don't think defenders at this level can handle his press. No. He will be on them before they've had a chance to breathe, and some of the latter games towards the end of the season, I can remember him picking pockets, creating goals, so hopefully we get to see that. So Vela, one of the club's main players at the moment. Happily, he's got another year on his deal, so he won't be going anywhere, and I think he'll be a big part next season.
A couple of other players, of course, Olly Norben,
captain,
Walker, Davis, Scott High, Sean Goss as well. Goss was someone who really came out of the cold and really began to show what he was about, didn't he, under Cottrell?
I suspect he's got a story to tell this season, Sean Goss, to be fair. Like Donald Love, we mentioned yesterday, those two kind of, well, they weren't even registered. They were left out of the cold by Sam Ricketts. They were training with the kids, the academy. It was quite amazing, really, given Ricketts had brought him in and he'd done pretty well, Goss, I think. But brought in from the cold by the new manager, and did ever so well, really. Reinvented himself, actually, as a number 10, as an attacking midfielder. We'd previously seen him deep lying, where he used his ball playing skills to spray it about, and obviously he's got set piece ability, but he totally reinvented. You would never say that Sean Goss would be a number 10. No. I don't think he's ever played it, but he did it well. He really started putting himself about and used the ball well. Scored a couple of goals. He got a couple, didn't he, in the big Tuesday night win here against MK Dons. Got a big goal at Charlton, arriving late into the box, diving header. As I touched on with Dave Edwards, I think he was one you were like this about. Good player in a couple of roles, and I think a player, obviously Steve Cottrell decided to release, who will go on to do well. I think he'll get a good club. We spoke about Brad Walker, who's obviously joined Port Vale in League 2. Great move for Brad. But I think Sean Goss, I think he's good enough technically and probably physically now as well to get a good League One move. I really do, and I think he'll go on and do well. So I could have seen him staying, but obviously, as we mentioned, that clean slate. Olly Norben, captain, played most of the games alongside his mate Vela. I was just trying to think of the nickname that Cottrell gave him. What is it? The Scallywags, wasn't it? The Manchester, the Manx Scallywags, in the heart of midfield. Norben's had a long time at the club, hasn't he? 3 years now. Still under contract. So, as captain, he's very well respected and liked by the manager and the assistants. I don't see any reason why he won't be around next season, Norben. He's got a lot of time for the club, I think. Obviously, he had a difficult season, Norben. I've clearly personally had personal heartbreak and tragedy, and that was quite early in the season. That was really, really hard for him, I think. came back, and certainly around the time Cottrell came in and the performances sort of rose, December time, then when Town came back late January, he was flying, Norben, actually. Really found a bit of form, found himself at his best. Again, a bit like Vela, they're slightly different players, but Norben can do a bit with the ball and a bit without it. Probably got to find more consistency in the way he uses the ball, progression-wise, attacking-wise. He's got to get forward more. He's got a great shot on him. Got to get more goals that aren't penalties, obviously, although he's deadly from the penalty spot. Without the ball, he does well, Norben. He does the dirty things that maybe we don't see as much. He does them well. So yeah, Town fans know all about Olly Norben, as I say, and I think they're a good midfield pair together. Well, an interesting debate is obviously David Davis came in January, who was a lone player here once upon a time many years ago, came back on a permanent after leaving Birmingham City, where he'd been forever, hadn't he? I think a real hero at Birmingham, Digger Davis, and he played at times in a midfield three with Vela and Norben. You probably saw them play as a three. I think some fans would say it didn't quite work, a bit samey. I think possibly, but I mean Norben and Davis as the two, they're quite similar. I would say, in my opinion, not totally identical, but fairly similar players. So
in terms of style, for sure.
That's what I mean. So as that midfield three, perhaps that's why it didn't work. Again, Dave Davis with his pedigree, and in some of the games, he was unfortunate. Really, David Davis. He was having to play as a 10 at times, which he's not. He's not an attacking midfielder. He was having to play right wing back. In some of the games where he played as a central midfielder, he was very good. He won, some sort of. It took him a while, I think, to find his fitness, find his feet, till maybe March time. But he had a couple of man of the match performances really well, and I thought a very good squad player for next season. But he might have bigger hopes than that. He might think he can get a better move. So that's interesting. I say a lot of. We talk about the calibre of midfielders that have left: Edwards, Brad Walker, Goss, Dave Davis. Good players.
Shoes to fill.
Good players that could do well at this level. Certainly do very well level below. Shows the calibre of what Town have got left, I suppose, and what the manager wants to bring in. I would say one thing to say finally about the midfielders. I think they're well enough stocked. Not to say they won't do business, they will, but it's not the kind of business that needs to be done in the forward areas, which we'll get onto tomorrow, or the wing back areas, which we spoke of yesterday, or even in goal. Obviously, I think midfield they're more settled. Perhaps they only need to bring in one central midfielder who's going to be a starter next season, and maybe a squad player. But there's more work to be done in other departments. But names we haven't even touched on from the start of the season.
I was going to mention we forgot one loanee last time. We won't forget one this time. Zamburek.
Scott High as well.
Scott
Zamburek,
High.
Those are the two I jotted down. Let me just check if there are any more. No, I don't think there are. Those two.
Zamburek looked like a player at times, but just never really settled.
Well, considering he's quite highly rated by Brentford and played senior games there, I suspect he is a player, and he's clearly a Brentford style technical player. He might be coming off the bench in the Premier League next season. You don't know, do you? You don't know how well he does in pre-season, but probably a little bit lightweight, maybe not the right time for him. He showed his ability at times, but played nowhere near enough. He was barely involved. Scott High looked very good at the start of the season. Was one of the very few that did okay when Town were really struggling, but I don't think he was quite ready to play regular games at this level that he needed to. Obviously scored a wonder goal at Middlesbrough on the opening night. Great lad, great little professional. Can see why he's highly rated, can see why. Huddersfield I think gave him a new 3-year deal the other day, which superb for him. I think it won't be long before he's in Huddersfield's midfield in the champ, certainly on the bench. So good luck to him. I think he'll go and have a good career, but not quite to be for him and many others at the start of this season, just gone, unfortunately.
There we go, that's your midfielders covered. Make sure you tune in tomorrow where we're talking forwards.